What's up, everyone? I'm Nick of the Full Court Press podcast from the Hardcore Sports Network and Sleeper Sports Media. Also, Next Shift Randy, Coach Ed, who are not here tonight. Randy may be jumping in. Coach Ed will not be joining us tonight, so that's no big deal. I will hold it down as he did in the first episode. So might be a quicker one. I'm gonna try and hammer that hour out like we've been doing, like we did last week, like Coach Ed did the first week. But we'll just go over the normal stuff that we hit on the last 2 weeks. Thank you for tuning in and enjoying this new show that we're doing over the chat. Also, if you guys six already joining me, if you can be active in the chat. I see we got three on Twitter and one and two on four-ish on the on YouTube. So just be active in there and help me out here. Danny Bear Sports, he says, "Yo, how's it going? Thank you for being one of the loyal soldiers, as Earl says it, and always active and always joining us for these events, these streams, and all that." To start it off, we got the power rankings for the week. Also, I'll go over the active regular rankings, power rankings, and then of course, the standings along with the Commissioner's Cup and where we are on that. The rankings are going to be a little different depending on which ones you look at. Right now on the app, the regular season standings: League View, Connecticut 13-1, Minnesota 12-3, New York 12-3, Seattle 9-6, Las Vegas 7-6. We got Phoenix at 8-7, Atlanta 6-7, Indiana at 6-10, who are on a 3-game winning streak, but I'll hit on that more at team time. We're still gonna do that. Got another comment in the chat here. Daniel Barry, it's going pretty good. Beautiful Thursday. Besides for speaking of Indiana, for the Pat McAfee show, it was not a good Thursday. If anyone didn't see that, they ended the show abruptly with a similar power outage to how Uncle Howdy did on Monday. I know it's off topic of the W, but that was very interesting to see. So that was speaking of Indiana. Then we have Chicago at 5-9, Los Angeles at 4-11. Some news on the Sparks and number 2 overall draft pick for this year, draft Cam Brink. Dallas at 3-11, and Washington, of course, at 2-13. We go over to the conference view. Connecticut 13-1. We got New York at 12-3, Atlanta 6-7. We got Indiana at 6-10, Chicago at 5-9. So the last game between those two is very interesting, and how that flipped them in the NBA's or WNBA's rankings and standings, and then how it's going to affect their where they are in the power rankings. If we remember last week, they were, I think, 4-5, either 4-5, and I thought they should have been switched because the Fever have beat them head to head. And we have Washington again at 2-13. In the West, Minnesota 12-3, Seattle 9-6, Vegas 7-6, Phoenix 8-7, Los Angeles 4-11, and then Dallas 3-11. I am looking for, here we go. We got the Commissioner's Cup. Again, we know the championship game for the Commissioner's Cup. We got the Liberty 5-0 in Commissioner's Cup play. Connecticut 4-1. The Fever bouncing back at 3-2 in this play. Washington 1-4. Chicago 1-4. Atlanta 1-4. Those teams never really found their way. Atlanta beating the Sky, notable wins, and Chicago beating Washington as a notable win, and then Washington beating Atlanta, Indiana beating Atlanta, Chicago, and Washington. On the West, we have Minnesota 4-1, Seattle 4-1, Phoenix 3-2, Los Angeles 2-3, Las Vegas 2-3, and Dallas at 0-5. Dallas being the one team that's struggling in that sense that surprises me the most, I would say. That was the regular season rankings along with the Commissioner's Cup standings. I'm gonna find the WNBA, the official power rankings again from, I'll just go off of the ESPN one. So New York is currently on an 8-game winning streak. They bounced back up or remained at number one, I guess I should say. Hopefully my computer doesn't give me any issues like it did last night. This has them at 12-2, still at number one. So yeah, this was not updated. The last one that's on here is June 10th, so they have not updated it yet. Maybe if the official WNBA website, we'll see if they have the most up-to-date one. This one was updated Monday on the 17th. Stats and analysts as of Sunday, June 16th. All right, so I've already gone over what the official current rankings and standings are, but this is the power rankings as of Monday, but from the week of Sunday, last week, Sunday to Sunday, I'm assuming. New York at 1 for the East. Last week they beat the Aces 90-82. This week they have Phoenix away at Phoenix. Thursday they have the Sparks. Saturday they have the Sparks again. Team stats, their offensive rating is 106.9. That's the best in the league. Defense is 94.4. They rank 4th. Net rating is number 2 overall, yet they're number 1 in the power rankings. Although the stats and analysts, that was more up to date than what these rankings are. And then efficiency field goal percentage, 52.4. That is the second best. And then we go to the Sun, 12-1. They were number 2 last week as well. Last week they beat the Fever, 89-72. The Sky, 83-75. The Wings, 85-67. Then this week they got the Sparks, the Aces, and Seattle. So they're out west currently right now. Offensive rating, 103.9. 4th overall. Defensive, 90.7. That is the best defensive team. Net rating, they are 13.2, so they are number 1. Efficiency field goal percentage, they got 47.9, which is 7. The Indiana Fever jump up from 4, so they were 4-5 with my point of last week in the sense that they beat Chicago head-to-head. Their previous ranking was 4, so they jumped up 1. They did lose to the Sun. They beat Atlanta, beat Chicago again. This week they games for Indiana Wednesday against Washington, which yesterday they did win and are on a 3-game winning streak now. Then we got tomorrow at Atlanta, which I believe that game officially closes out this was the previous week because it's Washington, Atlanta, and Chicago, unless that's the same thing. No, because it's at Chicago. So versus home against Washington yesterday, they got the win. Tomorrow at Atlanta, and then Sunday at Chicago. Team stats, 98.5. That's 8th overall offensively, 110.8. 12th overall defensively. Net rating, minus 12.3. That is the worst in the league. And then efficiency, field goal percentage, 49 at 4. Aaliyah Boston, Caitlin Clark, and Kelsey Mitchell, their big three, had a huge game last night. Both Clark had 18, Boston had 22, Mitchell also with 22. To the 5 people watching still, all on Twitter, on Randy's and Coach Ed's, I appreciate the 5 watching now. Please get active in the chat. It would help me out a lot. Then we go to the Atlanta Dream, 5-6. They were 3, so they dropped 1 spot. Last week, lost against the Mystics, the Fever, and then they beat the Sparks. This week they got Minnesota, Indiana, and then New York. Team stat wise, offensive, they are 10th with a 96.8%. 99.8 defensively, that's 5th. Net rating, 7th overall at -3, and then efficiency field goal percentage, 45.7. Atlanta is another team that I have yet to really get to watch. Both many times they've played the Fever, since that's the team that I try to make sure that I'm watching. I haven't been able to watch their games. Given that they did drop a spot, they're probably their 2 losses definitely, again, the head-to-head loss to the Fever that switched them would be my guess as to why they switched and went up and down 1 point, one spot in the rankings. Then we get to, of course, the Chicago Sky, who stayed. So they stayed at 5. Last week they lost the Sun, Washington, and then the Fever. This week they play Thursday against Dallas. I believe that's tonight. Might have been earlier today. Might have been 3, something like that. Then Sunday against the Fever. Hopefully, fingers crossed, I can do a stream for that. Play-by-play for the third time now. My solo play-by-plays for the Fever when they're playing Chicago end up well. They win. Don't know what it is. Not saying it's me, but not saying it's me. Team stats: offensive rating 97.4. That's 9th. Defensive rating 100.1. That is 6th. Net rating minus 2.7. That is 6th overall in the league. So right around where the power rankings have them. Efficiency field goal percentage 45. That is 12th. Angel Reese and Caitlin Clark is going to be the center of attention for not only this draft class, but also the future of the W. I mean, they're always going to be tied together. I believe London and we talked about how they are the WNBA's Bird and Magic. An article is coming from my side at some point to the network's website. If you haven't seen, we are active on there. We will get some WNBA content up onto the website, article wise and other posts and everything. It's been fun to do, and I was doing some research into how they tie together. All 4 of them tie together in the sense of their background, where they came from, how they got into the game, how they approached the game, all that, everything of that nature. Definitely the comparison is there. And again, Angel Reese no doubt has the talent. It's just it's interesting that the way she handles the media is she always has something to say as an excuse whenever they lose or if they win or if there's controversy. No show for the media, or at least that one time. Since then, she's just gone at the refs and has not handled the media the best that she can. And I get it, the competitiveness is going to be there, and she's not going to tip her hat to the refs if they have an off or some bad calls. But when it's every single call that is made, she's shaking her head and just acts like there's no way that could have been a foul, could have been called on her, should have been called on her. It just shows that that's her style of basketball. And then Caitlin Clark, who does show that same emotion, same competitiveness, but doesn't go to the media and immediately blaming the refs. It's okay, I get it. I'm just going to do what I can do, control what I can control, and go from there. But I am excited for this rivalry to continue growing the game specifically, and just seeing what these two are going to be eventually, probably teammates down the line, Olympically, being teammates on the Olympic team at some point, how they're going to work with that, how they continue doing the All-Star game, if they do captains pick next year, since they're doing Team USA versus Team WNBA. And everything is going to be very, very interesting to see how they intermix throughout their careers in the W. And then going forward, like I said, being teammates for Team USA, that's going to be super interesting. But more on the Chicago Sky as we get through these power rankings. Camila Cardoso added a 10.9 rebound, 3 block performance, and the rookie teammates, Angel and her, became the first pair of rookies to have 10 points, 9 rebounds in the same game since Chinny Ogwumike and Alyssa Thomas for the Sun did it in 2014. Reese also became the first rookie in this class to rack up 100 points, 100 rebounds, and became the fastest player to record 100 rebounds since Breonna Stewart in 2016. So between her and Caitlin, they're both breaking records that were set by the likes of Breonna Stewart, which is a great company to be in for two rookies. Um, so hopefully, I never wanted to see them go on a tough stretch in how they were playing. Definitely has turned around from what the Fever started out as to what Chicago started out as. Um, both are struggling. Both are have young players in the starting lineup every night now that Cardoso is back from injury. So hopefully they can get a push back into the playoff contention. I would love to see Indiana and Chicago, Caitlin, Camilla, and Angel back in the playoffs all together yet again at the professional level. Would absolutely love to see that. We got the Washington Mystics 2-12. They are still 6. Last week they were 6 as well. Last week they beat Atlanta, beat Chicago. This week they had the Fever. They lost. Saturday they have Dallas, and Sunday they also have Dallas. Offensively, they're 12th, 94.2. Defensively, they're 7th, 101.9. Net, they are 11th, minus 7.7. Efficiency field goal, 48.4, and that is 6 overall. The 12-game losing streak was over when Brittany Skies returned to the lineup. We talked about that a little bit last week. She came into Atlanta and dropped 18 to get their first win. That rounds up the East. We go over to the West. We have Minnesota. They were previously number 2 in the West. They are now number 1. They beat the Aces 100-86, as we talked about again last week. Los Angeles 81-76. This week they had Dallas. Wednesday last night, Atlanta. Saturday they have Phoenix. Offensively 104.9. That is third. Defensively 92.7. That is second. Net of 12.2, which is third. And then we have efficiency field goal percentage of 54.2, which is the best in the W. We did discuss this last week that there's no way that they should have been over Seattle since of just the dominance that they were putting on in that week. And then we have number 2, 9-5 Seattle. They were previously third. They beat the Sparks, the Wings. They lost to Phoenix. Last night they had the Aces, and Sunday they are again facing Phoenix. 99.6 offensively, that is 5th overall. Defensively, we got 93.9, 3rd overall. 5.6 for net rating, that is 4th, and 47.1, 8th overall for efficiency field goal percentage. Then we go down to the back-to-back defending champs who started out hot and are now just trying to find their way back to a win. Which they previously they were 2. They dropped 1 spot. Feels like they should have been at 3 and then dropped to 4, maybe 5. They Tuesday against Minnesota, they had lost 3 straight. They then bounced back with a very close game against Phoenix, and then they lost to New York. Wednesday they play Seattle. Friday they play Phoenix again. And then team stats offensively 105.4, that is 2. Defensively 104.2, that is 10. Net they are 1.2, which is 5th overall, and 49.9, 3rd overall for efficiency field goal percentage. Then we have Phoenix at 7-7. They are 4, so they remain 4. Lost to Vegas, beat Seattle. This week they had Tuesday the Liberties, Saturday Minnesota. Offensively 99.6, which is 5th. Defensively 93.9, 3rd. Net rating minus 4.6, 8th overall. Efficiency field goal 48.8, 5th. Kalia Cooper having a great season. She's had 1 30-point game before this season, and already this season, including the game on Sunday, she has 5 30-point games. Started only 15 games total in her first 4 years playing for Washington and Chicago, and then in 2019, 0 of the 34 games played in Chicago, the 2021 season where Cooper was an All-Star, a champion, and the Finals MVP, was the turning point, and she has not looked back since. That was a big addition for Phoenix, and the trade that went down. I am new to following the W, so I don't know too much about that. To the 9 people watching, thank you so much. Get active in the chat. I would greatly appreciate that. Yes, we're making good timing. Getting through the rest of these power rankings real quick. The Sparks, which we have some sad news involving them. Last week they were 5. They remain at 5. They lost to the Storm, lost to the Lynx, and lost to the Dream. They were riding a 3-game losing streak, and then this week they played Phoenix, New York, and New York again. So hopefully they would have bounced back. If not Tuesday, then Tuesday, whenever the injury that we're gonna get to went down. Team stats overall 96.3, that is 11th. Defensively 103.6, also 11th. And net overall rating minus 7.3, 10th overall. Efficiency field goal, we got 47.1 and 10th overall again. They had a brutal 7-game road trip, which was not off to the best of starts for them, similar to what the Fever saw in their struggles with being on the road, being out west, and everything of that nature. So that was the almost done with the power rankings here. We finally get to Dallas, which I would be a Dallas fan if it wasn't for Caitlin Clark. Although if it wasn't for Caitlin Clark, I don't know if I would be covering and becoming such as big of a fan as I have been. But Dallas has Maddie Segrest, who went to Villanova, so that was a tie-in quickly whenever I was looking into other players on other teams. Last week they had a loss against the Storm and the Sun. This week they played Minnesota, Chicago, Washington, and Washington again. Team stats 98.7, still 7th overall. Defensively 11th with 104.2. Net rating of minus 5.6, 9 overall. And then efficiency field goal 47.1, 9 overall. So they just haven't been putting wins together. Probably losing games that are close that they should not be losing. 3-9. Still a very early-ish season for bouncing 6 games, being back under 500 easily. You could get a 3-game winning streak, and then you're 3 games away from being 500. You go 2-1, and boom, you're right there at being 500 as we get closer and closer to the All-Star break and Olympic break, which is going to be interesting to see how that plays out. Speaking of All-Star, the All-Star break, I haven't voted in quite some time. I'm going to go and do that right now. Vote for my All-Stars. Of course, Asia Wilson, Breanna Stewart. We could go Maddie Segrest, Aaliyah Boston, absolutely. Alyssa Thomas. Angel Reese, I will give the nod. Alyssa, and that is it. And then that was my front court. Now we get to the guards. Kelsey Plum, Taurasi, of course, Caitlin Clark, Kelsey Mitchell. And then I guess I get one more as it takes forever to load. Hopefully my computer makes it through a couple more of these. I'm trying to see who. I'll give it to Katie. Oh, nope, that's it. That's all I get. So I'm going to review and submit it. Don't forget to, whenever you do your votes, tweet us, tweet me, tweet Coach Ed, tweet Randy, tweet the network, your votes. Just save the you can save the picture of who you're voting for, and then use that, the PDF, and tweet it at us so we can see who everyone is voting for. All right. Download. Got my votes for the 20th. I will get them tweeted out. Checking over to see if we got any comments. We do not. So thank you to the 8 people that are watching. Leave a like on the channels that you're watching on. Retweet if you're watching on Twitter, as you are, and keep sharing, keep subscribing. We appreciate it. So that's going to wrap up the power rankings. We got through that one somewhat quickly. We're going to go into the main topic that we can run through. How is this rookie class doing as we approach the halfway point of the season? Like I said, the big injury that just occurred, the number 2 overall pick, Cameron Brink, did tear her ACL Tuesday night, which will be a major setback for her her rookie season. She was hanging in there in the sense of where the rookies ranked. Angel, Caitlin, and Cameron Brink. I mean, we're holding it down for the rookies. I think Cam led in maybe just blocks, maybe steals as well. It could have been. Definitely wasn't rebounds. Cardoso. So now Cardoso is leading with blocks per night. That's what the stat is currently. I'm trying to find. I don't think they have rookie specific stats. NBA rookie. Here we go. ESPN rookie tracker. This should be accurate. It's just going to give me a rundown of who they are. I want specific stats. There we go. All right, so this is going to be overall, but you can see, I mean, just from seeing what rookies are there, we can base it off of that. Points, looks like there's no rookies there. Caitlin was leading her team, was up there in the lead for quite some time. Assists though per game, Caitlin is 3rd. Cameron Brink has dropped to 3rd in blocks. That will change as well, given next week with her being out with the torn ACL. All right, my computer is starting to really lag and show that it cannot handle that right now. Yeah, Cameron Brink torn ACL. That really sucks. There was also all right, so Randy is on his way home. Hopefully he will be able to join for the last 30 minutes. We can just run through some stuff as we see it, but I'll talk more on this just to cover it, and then we can hopefully chat more with Randy as he gets here. The rookie class overall, Cardoso missed the first month, and she's had a great second month as she's gotten used to the flow. Their schedule has been fairly easy compared to an Indiana, which we saw the fatigue with Caitlin, and how young that team is. Not they're all rookies. It's mostly just Caitlin. I think there's one other rookie from this class that ended up going to Indiana. But you look at Kate Martin out in Vegas. They've had probably an easier schedule than any other team in the W. I mean, maybe not easy wise with where they're at in losing 3 in a row, 3 out of the last 4, whatever it is. I think the rookie class is adjusting well for the sense of the big 3 or 4 top 5 that were making a deep run in the the March Madness tournament ended when it ended, and then within a week they had draft night, 2 weeks off with all the travel to their new cities and doing media and whatnot, and then getting right into training camp, and then the start of the season with preseason, and then the regular season. So that's something that I think the W would have to really look at and see how can we adjust that so the players aren't being fatigued. How can we make sure we're not scheduling them in the sense of what we saw with the Fever and all the crazy numbers with what they got schedule wise. But overall, this rookie class has been doing such a great job of growing the game. And not just Caitlin, not just Angel, not just Camilla, not just Cameron Brink. I know that's pretty much the top 4, 4 out of 5, if not the top 4 out of 10. You have other rookies like Kate Martin, who showed up to the draft just to support Caitlin, ended up getting picked by the back-to-back defending champs. Very excited to see how it shakes out the rest of the season, the second half, and where we end up with the awards at the end of the season, which I know Caitlin is not going to care about winning offense rookie of the year like I think that an Angel would. I think Angel getting an award that Caitlin doesn't is going to fuel the ego that I think she has, because people circle everything around Caitlin versus her and talk about her and all of that. I wish Coach Ed and Randy were here so we could have that actual topic and that be a topic of discussion, because I think it's becoming more and more clear just the way she answered the media's questions after that last game against Indiana, and then how Caitlin did as well, especially, and then also the post that Angel Reese made towards Cameron Brink after her injury, and then she was dead silent. So she's showing the love and support for Cameron Brink, one of her fellow rookies, which I made a big point of that in the sense of when the whole thing with Kennedy Carter and Caitlin Clark went down. I wish Angel would have stuck up for her fellow rookie in any shape or form, not chosen her over her teammate, which I'm not saying that at all. I was saying, like, after the game, don't skip over the media. Go out there and say, like, Caitlin didn't deserve that, whatever, or just be there for your teammate in the sense of how Cardoso was there. So it's going to be interesting to see this rookie class going forward as they become more formatted with the W's schedule and how they can, when they have an actual off season. At this point, they basically are going to be playing 80 games, 40-ish in March Madness, 40 if not more, 40 regular season games if not more in the W, and then going into that first off season to see how they rest, recover, and come back stronger for year 2. Next, we got the weekly score rundown. So I'm just going to go over the scores for this week and then preview a little bit next week. So today is Thursday. So I'll start with Sunday. So we'll go Sunday to Sunday and then preview up until Tuesday. So Sky and the Fever, 91-83. I did the play-by-play for that game. That was a great game for the Fever. Caitlin just had it, was on it. We go over to Atlanta. They beat the Sparks, 87-74. Phoenix beats Seattle, 87-78. Monday, one game, Minnesota and Dallas, 90-78. Minnesota takes that one. Tuesday, I believe, is when the Cameron Brink injury happened. Connecticut beat LA 79-70. Phoenix back in action, beat New York 99-93. Wish we could get Coach Ed's thoughts on that one, as that's a close one. Yesterday, the final The Fever did beat Washington 88-81. Minnesota beat Atlanta again 68-55. We then had the Aces get a bounce back win, much needed bounce back win, 94-83 over Seattle. And then today, earlier, like I said, Chicago did beat Dallas 83-72 for a bounce back win for them as well. And then currently, New York and LA are tied 28 with 4:12 in the second. Tomorrow, Atlanta and Indiana 7:30. Wish I could do that one, but I will be on SmackDown with Earl. We got Vegas and Connecticut tomorrow at 10 o'clock. Saturday, LA and New York once again at 3. Dallas and Washington at 3 as well. And then Phoenix and Minnesota at 8. Sunday, New York and Atlanta at 3. Dallas and Washington at 3. Connecticut and Seattle at 3. And Indiana and Chicago at 4. That's going to be a good one. I should be able to do a play-by-play for that one for their first trip out to Chicago. Tuesday, and this is where I'll leave it and move on to our next topic as we near the 20-minute mark. Hopefully Randy jumps in at some point. Tuesday, we have Minnesota and New York at 8 o'clock, and that is the weekly scores for this topic. This time, we got team time next. Pretty much went into what I really had to say for the Fever. They're finally starting to. Actually, there was a post on Facebook in one of the groups that I am a part of that some comments on there did have some really good points. I did want to bring that up. Let's see if I can get it, find it here. Of course, as I log into Facebook, I see Earl, Sarah, and Josh over on the Wrestling Experience and talking about Clash at the Castle, which was a fun event. Here we go. Let's see if I can find it. All right. So the post was a picture of Caitlin the other night, the big three, Caitlin, Aaliyah, and Kelsey. Caitlin had 18, 12, 6, and 4. Aaliyah Boston and Kelsey Mitchell both had 22 points. There is just a couple comments with that made some really good points. Some comments were that they're finally making Aaliyah Boston a focal point of the offense. And then the same person went on to say, I'll never understand why they didn't go get a legit point guard, trying to force Caitlin Clark to become a focal point instead. Now that they're switching, they're winning games, which I agreed with, but also didn't, because we saw at the beginning of the season she wasn't being used in the same way how they would have used her in Iowa, and they weren't winning anything. And then they found the happy medium. They then go on to say the coach did that until she woke up. They're the most loaded young core in this person's opinion. They just don't have any bench players. The most potential, especially after Brink tore her ACL, is going to be the battles that she has ahead between the big three. What others? Someone else said they are going to be very dangerous as they are starting to click. I went on to say that this is what they needed to do all along. They needed to allow Caitlin to be Caitlin and share the ball, get the offense set up as they get down, and do what she had said multiple times as she was drafted and did her first run with the media, saying she was excited to have Aaliyah Boston to be able to pass the ball to and set up and score in that sense. Not necessarily have the offense run through her, but just have her mind be able to pick and choose when she does what plays that she does. Go and set everything up and let her teammates make the plays as she said. Other team news. I mean, I'll run through the stats real quick as we have about 20 minutes. I'm it's been more fun to watch them win their last couple games and just finally start to find that feel as well as developing a chemistry. And I still can't wait for them to get to the All-Star break so they can actually practice along with getting some much needed rest. Team wise, points per game 79.9, allowing 88.4 from their opponents. Rebounds per game 32.6 compared to 35.3 from their opponents. Defensively 24.4 to 26.3. Offensively 8.2 to 9. Assists per game 19.3 to 21.3. Steals per game 6 to 7.7. Blocks 4.6 to 4.2. Field goal percentage of 43.2 to 45.5. 3-point percentage 34.1 to 37.3. Free throws 78.9 to 81.3. They were struggling with free throws the other night. Hopefully that's going to be something that they work on as we get to the halfway point of the season. They can get some practice, they can get some rest, all of that good stuff. Caitlin Clark, 16 games played and started, averaging 33.3 minutes, averaging 16.3 points per game. Not really big on the offensive rebounding, but that's not expected. Defensively, 4.9 per game. So averaging 5.5 a game. Assists, 6.2. She's up there in the leaders with that stat. Steals at 1.4. She's obviously struggled with turnovers. We do know that, as she has about 5.5 per game, and that is well over anyone else on the team, leading three point percentage 32.8, field goal 39. That is looking great. And then next closest to her, of course, are Kelsey Mitchell with 15.9 points per game, Aaliyah Boston 12.9. So this team is very young and finally coming together. It took a long time, or so it seemed. I'm very excited to see where this team goes, where we go with this young team. And I've known that, kept that in the back of my head, that they are very young. I mean, 6-10, 4 games from 500. 8 games back in from the number 1 seed. I don't know how they do the playoffs, if it's broken down, just 8 teams make it. If they do end up doing conference wise for the playoffs and 4 teams, I would have to look into more of that. Actually, I'll do that right now as we have about rounding out about 15 minutes. Looking up the format. So since 2022, the playoffs have been using a best of 3 series in the first round, where teams are seeded based on the regular season performance, and then a best of 5 for the semifinals and the WNBA finals. So 3 rounds, and it looks like they do round 1 matchups are seeded 1 through 8, 2 and 7, 3 and 6, 4 and 5. So the top 8 teams make it. So currently, right now, if I look at it with the league view, the Indiana Fever are currently in the playoffs, would be making a run, would be playing Connecticut. If the playoffs started today, we would have Connecticut, Indiana, Minnesota, and Atlanta, New York and Phoenix, and then Seattle with the back-to-back defending champs, the Las Vegas Aces. So I guess there would be a possible chance of a Kate Martin and Caitlin Clark matchup in the finals, which again I would be a huge fan for. So team time, that kind of covered my Fever. Let's see. So I know Coach and Randy would be their team for their team time. We would be going over the Liberty, so I will go over to their their site and go through it real quick from a very much outsider, but just able to run through the stats. They've played 15 games. They are 86, outscoring their opponents 86.6 to 77.9. Outdoing offensively, rebounding 8.1 to 7.9. Defensive rebounds 28.5 to 24.7. Total rebounds 36.6 to 32.5. Assists 22.4 to 19.9. Steals 8.2 to 6.4. There was a couple times where they had some really nice plays against Caitlin and Indiana where they got the double team and then Steele led to points right away. Coach and I did talk about that during that play-by-play. It sucked to see because it was on Caitlin, which I'm a fan of hers, and then just not the team that I wanted to see them do it on. So I do see we got one person. Never mind. One person was watching on the Facebook. Hopefully they left a like and shared it. We do have 10 people watching, so that's awesome. Thank you to the 2 watching on my channel. Please leave a like and answer my question in the poll. And then on Twitter as well, watching, please retweet, share it, leave a comment, chat with me as we finish up this episode of the Full Court Press podcast. Hopefully Randy will make it. He was 25 minutes away at just around 7. So hopefully he's getting here soon. We can maybe go a little bit overtime, but if not, I'll end this right around 8 o'clock. Blocks per game for the Liberty, 4.3 to 3.2. Field goal percentage, 45.2 to 41.9. 3-point percentage, 35.4 to 33.9. Free throws, 83.9 to 77.3. And turnovers, 14.8 to 13.9. Can't do I guess we can do Minnesota for Randy, as we are still waiting on the Toronto team, which will be his team, as he said last week. But until then, he does have the links from Minnesota. Going over to their stats, which this is still team time. And then we will close with other news. But I did already kind of cover that with Brink's injury, and that being that the big one. All right. So, well, that's interesting. It only has them as 2 games played. Points per game, 87.5. Offensive rebounds, 5. Defensive, 23.5. Rebounds total, 28.5. Assists, 19. Steals, 11. Blocks, 6. Field goal percentage, 50.8. 3-point percentage, 37.8. Free throws, 75%. That's not bad. Turnovers at 20. And then that is theirs. Their opponents, 40% as well, 79, 10, 20.5, 30.5, 16, 10, 3.5, 43.4, 34.9, 75 and a half, 22, and 22.5. I don't know too much of the rosters for either Minnesota or New York, so I won't do too much of a deep dive into their rosters. But as we get about 10 minutes left, I will just look up some news and see if anything is looming on the WNBA side from some WNBA news. So WNBA, this is from June 18th. WNBA makes major announcement. Indiana after the Fever and Chicago Sky. Yes, this was their game on CBS, averaged 2.25 million views, which is the largest viewed game for the WNBA in 23 years. It did really well for for the network on the Facebook as I was doing the play-by-play for it, and it was a good game to watch. So that's awesome for both not only Caitlin Clark but for Angel Reese, which she is going to be very much one to say use this in the sense of she told you so, that it's not just Caitlin that everyone is watching for, it's her as well. As we hit the 10-minute warning, there was one other thing that we had sent to each other in our group chat for the Full Court Press podcast and the members of the network. The WNBA ran its inaugural team valuations. This is via Sportico, which is a high-quality digital content company providing sport industry breaking news, data, information, strategies, leadership, and insight. It was from Kurt Badenhausen. So the average WNBA team is worth $96 million. The Aces are number one with $140 million, being worth $140 million. They sold for $2 million in 2021, and the average 2023 team revenue was $13.2 million. The revenue range of 8.8 Atlanta to 18 million New York. Going over it real quick, I guess I could actually pull up the graphic to give a little bit more time. Hopefully Randy can jump in. If not, totally okay. We will wrap it up here pretty soon. Here we go. Just gonna get this get the graphic pulled up from here we go. All right. As you can see, to the 9 people watching or anyone watching on the replay, the Aces there are at 140 million. We have the Seattle Storm at 135 million, the New York Liberty at 130 million, the Phoenix Mercury 105, and then we get to the Chicago Sky 95, Indiana of course 90, then the Sparks at 85, tied with Minnesota 85 million, Connecticut at just 80, Washington also 80, and then Dallas at 75 million, and then the Atlanta Dream 55 million. I believe that Atlanta is still the newest team actively currently, besides Golden State next year and then Toronto the year after that. So great things WNBA wise. We'll go over and check out the Sportico page and see what we can find. Maybe, as you can see, my laptop is very there we see LeBron was apparently talking more on Caitlin Clark, and it is making my laptop absolutely unbearable. As we're just around 1 hour, hopefully maybe a Randy appearance will happen. If not, we can just wrap this up with just about 5 minutes to go. Thank you for tuning in. Anyone who watched live, watch me hold down the fort here for the network, for this podcast, and for Coach Ed, for Randy. We will be back, the 3 of us, hopefully next week, next Thursday, normal time, 7 p.m. The rest of this week, tomorrow, I'm doing SmackDown. Sunday, a possible play-by-play for that Fever and Sky game, as I seem to be, again, the good luck charm when I do the play-by-plays for them. And then Monday back to possibly getting a podcast out, just depends. Also mixing in me, I will be doing an interview with Hunter at some point hopefully for a network show. if not his show, but hopefully it will be out on the network. Um, Also, then NXT on Tuesday, Dynamite on Wednesday, of course, this on Thursday. We'll try and mix in another play-by-play if I'm able to, depending on what the Fever are playing, what and when the where the Fever are playing, of course. Um, so that's that up to Thursday. Then Friday, I don't have anything as I'm doing SmackDown this week. Nothing next week. Will depend. Again, the Fever play Wednesday. I could possibly do a play-by-play there. Same thing with Saturday, and then Sunday nothing, and then starts all over again. Of course, as we get into July. Not sure how we'll do this coming up with July 4th, and we'll play it out and see what happens. I'm going to try my best to go these last 4 minutes. Look up some other WNBA news. Angel Reese set a rookie. Caitlin Clark is a double doubles leader after they beat the Mystics. Oh wow! Update on New York and LA. New York is up 43-36. Sabrina leads all scorers with 15 points, 5 assists. Jones dropped 11 points, 5 assists, 4 rebounds. So that is that one. The Aces have now made WNBA history as the first team to sell out all of its regular season home games. So that's interesting. All of their regular season home games have been sold out. Now, at one point, I was seeing something before Clark was even drafted that was going to be the reason why they moved from the Michelob Ultra Arena over to the T-Mobile Arena. And I know they played out there one time already. I don't know if that was for a future game or if that was for the game that I'm thinking of, the first one, the first matchup. Of course, looking at the comments, it's funny. Looking at the comments on this post, the first one is Kate Martin. The second one is Iowa players hit different. Absolutely. Kate Martin is becoming a fan favorite out there in Vegas, as I said last week. Of course, now my computer once again is bugging out as we are about 2 to 3 minutes away from wrapping this one up. I know you're probably tired of hearing me ramble on about Caitlin, about the Fever. Try my best to do justice to Randy and Coach Ed to hit on their teams, and do my best to talk about them. We have now. I'm just trying to find more news. Went over the power rankings. Okay, June 25th. That was one thing I forgot to do. The Liberty and the Minnesota Lynx will be in the championship game of the Commissioner's Cup presented by Coinbase Tuesday, June 25th at the UBS Arena in New York. That is the same place where Forbidden Door 3 is happening. So the Liberty did win the game last year. The defending Commissioner's Cup champs defend it against Minnesota Lynx, streamed by Prime Video. The championship game features charitable contributions, nonprofit organizations. We know all that. Gives it a rundown. Tip off for 8 p.m. exclusively streaming on Prime Video. That will be super interesting, fun to watch. This is the fourth year that they've been doing this. The Liberty and the Lynx will be competing for a $500,000 cash prize pool in the Commissioner's Cup Championship. Again, presented by Coinbase. The Coinbase will commit another $120,000 in crypto, $5,000 guaranteed for each player participating in the championship game. So that's some cool other news for the W, and we will wrap this one up with that. On that note, we have reached our hour, so that's pretty good. Thank you for again watching, listening, viewing. Make sure you subscribe to all the channels listed down below. The network, Facebook page, Twitters, all that good stuff. Next week we should all be back, the three of us, and that will do it for the Hardcore Sports Network. Hardcore Sports Network's Full Court Press WNBA podcast. Thank you again. I'm Nick Witosh of the network and Sleeper Sports Media. I'll catch you next time.